Well, good morning, SandTrackers and barefooters. Hope you're doing well. I'm John O'Brake, and here we are again for another live feed Tuesday. Looking forward to seeing you all come on board and looking forward to seeing the comments that come through. Feel free to comment, drop a line, whatever it might be. So today, once again, I'm coming to you from the beautiful mountains of Western North Carolina, where we're now well and truly into summer. We're heading to a nice top of, the late 20s centigrade, which is exciting. G'day Craig, notice you just came online. Good to see you, mate, all the way from Australia, having a late night over there. But fantastic to be here. So today we're going to talk about commitment. Now, do you, business owner, take your business to be your lawful partner, to have and to hold on this day forward, in thickness and in thin, through sickness and health, whatever the case may be? Did I get you scared? It's funny because this whole commitment word has become such a strange word to us in relationships, in business, and in a lot of parts of life. And it got me to thinking, well, I wonder why that might be the case, or I wonder where that might have come from. Okay, and so having been trained as a coach and understanding what's going on out there and really being able to understand people, this commitment word has become a really functional difficulty for us. And so it also plays out into our businesses. So I'm going to talk about just the generalities of commitment first, maybe even try and unpack in a meager way why people don't commit, what the challenges they have with committing, and even some that I have myself. I'm not perfect at this myself, but what I want to do today is really just talk about that and then really dive into, now this is a video designed for entrepreneurs, people who always have a lot of stuff on the go. I'm hoping there's a few of my friends that will come and see this. We've had conversations just in the last few days. What should I commit to? What's the right thing? If I commit to that, is this a problem? Should I do this? Shouldn't I do that? And so what I want to do today is really help you understand what commitment is and how to do that. So the fundamentals. So why is it that we don't commit? And I was just having a conversation with a friend about that in a very different arena this morning. Why is it we don't commit? Why don't we commit to relationships? Why don't we commit to a product or service? Why don't we commit to a business? Why don't we commit to our bosses? Why don't we commit to our relationships? Whatever it might be, okay? Now, obviously, we're going to talk about business, but there's a lot of fundamental things going on here. There's the fears and insecurities that lie inside of us, and that we could unpack a 20-minute conversation just around that one. There is things like the fear of missing out. If I buy this or do this, am I going to miss out on that? Or if I'm part of this group, am I allowed to be part of that group? And so there are these fundamental things that happen around that whole commitment space. Excuse us, we've got roadwork going on the roads behind us right now, and they seem to have the world's noisiest trucks. So anyway, so that whole commitment thing. So why don't we commit? What are the things we're really afraid of? If there's something more fundamental we're afraid of, is there something bigger than us that we might be scared of? And so there's a lot of things that stop us from committing. If I commit to this one relationship, does that mean that I can't be in a relationship with anyone else? Or if I commit to this, is it for life? And can I cope with that? And do I feel trapped in those sorts of spaces? So this can happen in our business too, right? And so one of the things we need to think about in this whole commitment journey is, what are we going to commit to? And once we do that, what does that commitment actually mean, right? So there's a couple of things I think that are fundamental in here, all right? I don't believe in life there is just that one thing that that you absolutely have to commit to, and that's all you do. And I think, and certainly from my journey, there's been a lot of different things. In fact, sometimes there are multiple things that I'm committing to. Now, a lot of business aficionados might actually shoot me down on that one, because if you're focused on a bunch of stuff, you're not focused on anything. Now, there's truth to that, but there are people who do multiple things at once, and we tend to find a lot of them in the entrepreneurial space. We find a lot of them hanging around SandTracks and business in bare feet. And so what is it? So when I sit down with a business person and they're like, I've got all these ideas, I've got all these things I can do, all these products, all these services I can go after, how do I pick just one? And so one of the things I did this week was I talked about, we put up some videos where I did a commitment series a couple of years back, and I'd love for you to go back and watch them. They're on the Business in Bare Feet page, and we'll keep putting some more of those up. But it talks about, first of all, what are the 4 C's of commitment? Things like knowing the culture you want to go after, and the stuff is, so basically what do you create something that you love. It's much easier to commit to something that you love. What's the conviction that you have around this thing to make a better world, to improve the marketplace, to improve the economy? My business vision is to transform the nations one business at a time, because I really see small to medium companies as that incredible place. But I'm very committed to that. I've been at it for 20 years. I've done it well, I've done it not so well, and so very committed to that, and committed to discovering what that means. Hey, Mark and Linda, good to see you coming in from France. Good to see you there. So when we think about this commitment thing, it really is our capacity to find those things that we should commit to, those things that we should take control of, and we should get after. And so that commitment space becomes very, very important. So this is where, as I said, I do have a lot of conversations. I literally had a couple yesterday where people are saying, but I love doing all this different stuff. I don't know what I should commit to, or how I should commit my time is maybe a way of looking at it. And so the first thing is, what is it that you have the conviction to do today? Okay? Do you really have a conviction to build your business and to make something of it? Because that's that bigger purpose, that's that why, or whatever it might be to you. And that's the stuff that's going to really, that's the stuff, thanks Linda, yes. And that's the stuff that's really going to help you, obviously, when you start down the road and you're feeling like, ugh, have I done the right thing? So then there's the culture that you want to create. Again, as I said, creating something that is bigger than you, creating something that you love to be a part of, that you're proud of. It's kind of like, I heard someone say once, he says, I just want to raise children that I like. And I thought, how can you not like them? How can you not like your children? He goes, oh, no, I love my kids. But when I look at them, do I like them? Do I like the way they behave? Do I like the way they interact? Do we like what our business represents? Do we like what we're creating? And is what we're creating bettering the world we're in, not just lining my pockets? And so there's that culture that we create out of that as well. And I've seen great cultures in business, and I've seen some awful ones. And I know we talk about culture very much in the larger business space, but let's talk about it here for a sec, because culture matters right from day one. All right, it matters, and it matters around you. So then there is actually the commitment. Okay, so what are the steps that I've got to take? What are the things I need to do to move this thing forward? And we'll talk about that in a minute. And then so when we look at, in fact, no, let's talk about it now. So when we look at what are the steps we need to take, okay, first of all, what are you going to go after? And in another video in the commitment series, I talk about brainstorm everything, but pick something. All right, pick something. Now that picking something we've talked about in the past, ways you can pick things that you're after. Obviously, we want to know there's a passion behind it first, but secondly, it's, is there a market? Can you make money out of it? Can you build something? Can you really change that marketplace? Can you make the difference that you think you can? And if so, that's the thing to get after. Now, if there's three of those things, you still need to pick the one that's going to I can't read. What are you going to go after? Thanks, Linda. I've got a little the clip down the middle of the screen, so I can't read the comments. But what are you going to go after? Thank you, Linda. And being really clear on that. Now, that also comes back to some fundamental commitment issues in ourselves, where we might struggle with, okay, if I go after that, am I missing out over here? And so I see this all the time in business. People who go after clients that are just, they're C, D, E clients, not even A or B. And they go after them because they see something there right now, and it might represent an early win, but long term it does not. So there is that commitment. What's that? So what do you want? What are you going to get after? What do you want to create? What difference do you want to make? The next thing is what's your plan? And Linda, we may even try and put a link to this up, but we have a fantastic system here at Business in Bare Feet and SandTracks around planning. All right, so first of all, what's your strategy? Where are you going? What's the bigger picture? What are the objectives you want to achieve? Things like that, maybe over the next 12 months, 3 years, 5 years. But then what about next quarter? What are you going to execute on in the next quarter? And so writing those things out into a quarterly execution plan that then gives you a series of tasks that you can take action on and start picking away at them today. I really discovered this whole thing, even though I've been told about it all my life, I kind of discovered the power of this later in life, because I tend to be a bit of a fly by the seat of my pants kind of guy. And as you probably noticed in these videos, but one of the things I've really understood is there's just a real magic when I fly by the seat of your pants and I bring something to it, and then I'm able to really take that into something that's quite tactical. You know, so I put quarterly execution plan in place, and then I look at the tasks. So what are the things I want to achieve at the end of the quarter? What are the tasks I need to do to get there? All those things just become it makes it so exciting, and it really, you can see the progression on the journey. And a lot of the challenge we have with this whole commitment thing is that we aren't seeing the wins. We aren't actually benchmarking, or as I call them, meeting waypoints. So we know we're on I use the hiking analogies all the time. When you're on a trail, right, the trail may be endless, but the waypoints are your wins. The waypoints are the things that tell you, okay, you're on the right trail and you're going in the right direction. So the waypoints become very, very important. So that's part of that whole planning piece. And sorry, Linda, I can't read it. Anyway, so quarterly execution plans become very, very important. It's something that we're very, very, very mindful of here at Business in Bare Feet. We use them ourselves. We use them in our other businesses as well, and they're very, very powerful. So the overall picture, what are you going to commit to? Then set the plans, all right? Now, there's also an interesting journey here, right? So the commitment piece then says, okay, so now we've got to start working away at this. Now we hear terms like pivot a lot around the entrepreneurial circles and around startups, okay? And the reality is, in the early days, you do pivot a lot. In fact, I see businesses pivot all the time that are multi-million, multi-billion-dollar businesses. Now, they may pivot as opposed to pivot, but they certainly look at adapting and look at ways they can, you know, improve internal processes, constant improvement, those sorts of things. That's all about how they can keep improving what they're doing, okay? And really pivoting is that ability to meet your market better. So none of this commitment thing precludes the ability to pivot, right? Because there comes a point in time in this commitment journey where we need to escalate our commitment, all right? And this is, I think, is the third piece. So the first piece is, you know, obviously defining what you want and what you're going to get after. The second thing is then planning. Well, actually, there's probably a third one in the middle there. How about you take some action? You know, you can sit back and just hope the market happens, and of course it won't. So what are the, you know, obviously taking action once you've set your plan in place. Planning's great, but execution's better. And then the fourth piece of that then is this, what I would call escalating commitment. And I heard this term used somewhere a while ago, and I've got a video called Escalating Commitment. And in the escalating commitment, it's so one of the escalations of commitment may be the way the business changes, it grows, and as it evolves, and maybe takes on new services, products, new people, whatever it might be. But the other piece, which is a reality, is that we actually get to a point where, okay, this thing isn't going to achieve what we thought it would achieve, all right? And that's a reality we all face. If you're a half-decent entrepreneur out there, then you've been through those journeys where you've gone after something, you're absolutely convinced it's the right thing, you've seen the market, you've even been able to project, maybe even made some sales, and then you've come to a place that's like, okay, this just isn't working anymore. Maybe it's not working for you, maybe it's not working for the team, maybe the culture's not right, maybe the why isn't set in the first place, but whatever it is. So the escalation of commitment is all about, okay, so what do I need to do next? Do I need to change the fundamentals? We talked about pivoting a minute ago. Or do I need to stop doing what I'm doing? All right, and go on to the next thing. So I had 3 or 4 things I could commit to, right? I picked one, maybe it didn't work out. So I've now got the second thing. I'll go back to that. Is there still a market? Go through the same process again. Am I passionate about it? Is there a market? Is there an ability to build this thing into something? And then I'll get after that. Now, obviously, that's a bit scary for folk, right? Because we want to think we've got everything lined up. We want to know we've got everything under control. And I want to tell you, and entrepreneurs know this way better than anyone, is that control, it's an illusion in life. In fact, there's probably, even to an extent, it's difficult, but the only thing we really have control over is the way I respond to stuff. You know, not you with me, but us personally. And so this is where we've got to understand, we've got to get past this whole control issue. And for some of us, that's quite difficult, right? So that's why I sort of say, well, know what you want, be prepared to put yourself out there. A lot of why I say it's difficult for us as well is because, again, those fears, insecurities, all those things that stop us really getting after that. So I think, when you look at that control issue, the reality is you can't control anything. All right, I'm here in the US now. We can't control. It's very hard to control, for me, to control the situation that's going on around the US with all the riots and the challenges that this country is facing right now, having come out of COVID. In Australia, where I'm from, we came out of bushfires into COVID, and who knows what's going to happen next. We seem to be lurching from these things. We have no control over this stuff, except for the way I respond, except for the commitment that I make. And so I get after it anyway. So people who are committed are actually okay making maybe a bit of a fool of themselves, if it doesn't work out. I've lost businesses, things have happened to me, and I'm sure, Mark and Linda could tell you lots of war stories as well. But there's been those journeys where it hasn't worked out and we've just had to pivot and do something else. So there are those things, but at the end of the day, it's really important that you put your mind, you put your heart, you put your body into something. You commit to it, you set what you want to achieve, and also that what you want to achieve may be a point of exit as well if it doesn't achieve it. Don't flog a dead horse, as they say in Australia. And then you say, okay, so now I'm going to set some plans in place. All right. And as I set those plans in place, then I'm going to take action on those plans. Maybe what you should do is, as you're doing that, come back to, and this is one of the powers of the Business in Bare Feet Network and SandTracks, is if you're a part of our community, we actually hold you accountable to those quarterly execution plans. We check in and see how they're going, and we expect you to backwards and forwards with us on that. So if you're hanging out with us, you're getting stuff done. Otherwise, we get a little uncomfortable to hang out with, right, Linda? And Mark? Mark's really into this stuff, so, he's probably more qualified to speak to it than I am. So then, as we start to execute it, say, okay, so what's the evolution? What's the escalation? All right, so is the escalation that, okay, this thing works like we couldn't believe, and so that's all I'm going to do. That's it. Until I get to my exit strategy, whatever that might be, that's all I'm going to do. Commit, commit, commit. All right, small steps, quarterly execution plans, annual objectives, 3 to 5 year strategy. All right, we can start to evolve that as we go along. Or the escalation may be, 3, 6, 12 months in, it's not working out. Okay, and so we then sit down with someone and say, okay, so how do I stop doing this, or how do I pivot it into completely something different? These things have happened over time. All right, so that's really what we're talking about when it comes to this whole commitment piece today. So I want to really challenge you. What are the things that you're committing to right now? Or what are the things you're struggling to commit to? That's probably a better question. And start thinking about, well, what are those struggles and where are they coming from? All right, what's causing them? Where do you feel it inside of you when you think about committing to your business, to your idea, to stepping out of the workforce, to going full-time in a startup, or getting after an investor, or wherever you're at in your business journey? What's the feelings that you get? What's the feelings, and particularly pay note to the feelings that are unresourceful, that aren't going to help you get to the end journey. Now, I'm not talking about a fake it till you make it here, but if we can get in touch with some of these things and really, really understand those, then that's the stuff. So there's that first fundamental. What's going on inside of you that may be stopping you taking this step forward? Okay. We'd love to talk with you about that. Linda, Mark, and I are available to chat with you and to, we'll ask you some tough questions, but we love you. and to help you really think about, well, what is that journey? Where am I at in that journey? Have I been through the whole thing and now I'm escalating my commitment? Or am I right back at the start? Maybe I've come out of something else and now I'm thinking, feel a bit burned by it, feel a bit tired. How do I really get energized? And so that's the fundamental questions. Yeah, thanks, Linda. Thanks for leaving those there. So Linda's left those questions there. You can come back to those in the video at any time. So if we don't have any other further questions, I'm going to leave the video there. I hope that's been helpful. My excitement for you today is that you will commit to the journey that you're on, or you'll find the journey to commit to. Stop spreading yourself out all over the place, so you can just get after that one thing, or get after those few small things, or whatever it might be, and commit to that journey and make that journey work for you. All right, I'll just hang about a little bit and see if there are any questions. Linda's asked there. But a couple of things just to let you know. So as you can see, we've kind of moved the SandTracks videos over to Business in Bare Feet. There were some limitations on the SandTracks group because we've kept it as a private group. Obviously, we wanted the Business in Bare Feet people to see it, so we will be posting it back in there. We cut down to one live Zoom call a week, which is Friday morning, 9 a.m. US Eastern Daylight Time, 11 p.m. Friday night Australian Eastern Standard Time, and I think about 3 p.m. in the afternoon in Western Europe, 2 p.m. in the UK. So we're still running that call every single week. Love to have you there. The Zoom details are both in SandTracks and Business in Bare Feet, and so you can come and join that. That's open. You can share that with your friends. If you know someone in business who should just be connecting with us, you can share all that out. In fact, we encourage you to share it out so we can have more people coming and joining us. We are looking to launch a Wednesday night, 7 p.m. I think US Eastern Daylight Time, which is 4 p.m. in California, or on Pacific Time in the US, and I think it's 9 a.m. in Australia on Thursday morning. And that, yeah, we're looking to do that on Wednesday night. Okay, so that'll be Thursday morning if you're in Australia. So we haven't confirmed that yet, but that's one of the things we're thinking to do. If we have interest in that, we'll restart that second call. It was just getting difficult doing it on a Thursday night for me. So I appreciate you all being here. If there's no other questions, I'm going to end this live feed. It's been fun being here with you. I'm John O'Brake. As always, enjoy the journey.